1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, I think I'm live on my main YouTube channel. Hello, hello. Today a very exciting day because I'm testing Sony X3000 outside. It took a bit of effort to build it. It's hard to explain. Okay, I'll switch to it. Actually, here we go. Okay. I'm gonna go right around a bit, see what happens. Actually, I need to monitor in my second ear. 1 second. I usually do... Hold on. I use restreams.io website, and I usually, on my second phone, I open it. I can see all the platforms I'm streaming to, and I click a button view, and it opens up a YouTube for me, and I can monitor on the second phone. I can also monitor on my main phone. Anyhow, let's go. This camera, I think, will shake a lot with all the weird extensions that I've added. Be a challenge. It will be a challenge to keep it in place, just because anyhow, my main mount is designed more for these like flat cameras, like GoPro kind of cameras. So I added a bunch of like extensions. I'll try to tighten it as much as I can. So I'm afraid it will keep moving around because of vibrations and stuff. I'm not sure what the settings are. I think Sony X3000 is sending maybe 1080p, 60. Then my app for Android, LifeStreamer, is sending 1080p 30. And also in between Sony and my app, there's a capture card, like the cheapest capture card you can buy on Amazon, I think. It cost me $10, I think, Australian. So I'm gonna say again what I'm using. I have a Samsung S20 FE phone, 4G version, not 5G. Then Like I said, I have this capture card connected to it to the USB port. And then this is sort of a HDMI to USB capture card, so it's capturing HDMI and converting it to UVC, UAC, basically USB video audio. You see, it keeps sliding down. I cannot fix it properly. I don't have a lot of time today. I wanna have lunch soon. So we'll see what I can do. So the playback looks really good on my phone. I can see the preview of the feed from the one second. What if we go here? It sticks out a bit, you know. Sony X3000, it's like turned 90 degrees. Compared to GoPro. It's a different kind of shape. Low out protrudes from the front of my bike. Actually, give me a moment. I can enable mobile data on my phone because I think it's struggling, so it will use two connections because it was using just Wi-Fi from iPhone hotspot, which is, I don't know how good that is. I just don't have much data left on my main SIM card after all the testing that I did. Oh, these are some cool cars and bikes. So I was mostly testing things with DJI Osmo Action 4 before, and I noticed it was skipping frames, and I thought I wanted, one second, I thought I wanted to test some other cameras and see if they have the same issue. And GoPro had the same issue, so I suspect maybe there's some issue with my app. Hold on. I'm not sure, maybe I need to dial down my settings, maybe I think maybe when, I don't know, I'm skipping frames somewhere. The preview looks good on my phone, so I suspect the incoming signal is okay, probably. But then I think Sony in particular is really good. I think it's not skipping frames for other people, so I think I'll see today. What I'm sending out is Full HD 30 FPS SRT HEVC. So HEVC is resource intensive. It needs to work harder than H.264. But I suspect it's something like when I'm out, there's maybe some issue that that causes a bit of stuttering for video. It's hard to say for sure. I suspect could be my settings a bit too, you know, too high. Maybe I need to either switch to H.264, it will make it easier a little bit, or I can even switch from 1080p to 720p just to confirm if that's the issue with my video encoding or not. But at the same time, I think this issue in particular seems to happen with the, what do you call it? I forgot. Anyhow, I've connected, so that's the video path. Again, Sony X3000 has HDMI output that goes into capture card. That's the cheapest capture card, $10, but it works good, I think, for what I needed. Let's capture some of this stuff. Cars. But in terms of the look, I think Sony firstly has weird colors, and then dynamic range is not the best, but they say it's not as muddy during the night, or even like it is sharp, let's say, because it doesn't use much of software video stabilization. It has a little bit. But it's famous for having optical stabilization, but just because it has this different shape, somehow that allows it to have an optical stabilization when other cameras don't have it. And also GoPro, for example, it has to have media mod to get HDMI out and the microphone jack. This thing just has it built in. So this camera is still, you know, has that advantage. First, it has optical stabilization. Second, it has HDMI out built in. It's very sharp and has a 3.5 jack built in. So lots of jacks. I don't know why it's so hard for GoPro to have them, or other cameras. Other cameras, you have to get adapters, and it keeps changing over time what adapters work and what don't. It's hard to keep up. This camera just has it. It's an old camera. I'm not sure how hard it is to get it. Because I'm not sure what year it was made, but it was a long time ago. But the preview looks good on my phone screen. I'm still surprised. Some of the features I've created, but I didn't use it as much, and I feel like the more I use it, I actually appreciate having this preview, and it's like there's not the delay is minimal, so whatever the HDMI that camera sends, I can see on my phone screen essentially with minimal latency compared to RTMP ingest or source. RTMP of course needs a bit of extra, how can I explain, it needs to have a buffer and all that for the playback to be smooth, so it usually has maybe around 3-4 seconds of delay when I preview it, and the audio is delayed. And with this thing, the audio, there is a delay. I don't know, I usually say it's about 1 or 2 seconds of delay. I don't know how to, I guess I could measure it, but it doesn't matter. Plus I'm using Bluetooth headphones. Bluetooth has a bit more delay as well. So today again I have a backpack full of like extra cameras, adapters and different mounts, because I didn't have time to like properly configure everything, and I thought I can just try different things if I have issues. Actually, I didn't take the second capture card. Last time I had 2 capture cards on me. First one, it usually worked okay, but it had some issues. Audio had this like buzzing noise or crackling, whatever you call it. So I switched to this cheaper. So that card cost maybe, was it 25 or 40 bucks? This one cost me 10 bucks and it works really well. I don't know why. Maybe it's not, I've seen some reviews of it, maybe it doesn't have the best bitrate for video, or video itself can be like, this capture card maybe does something to the video that changes colors, like maybe it's not as true to original. So it's not like this card is perfect card, but in terms of just like, does it work without noise? Yes. It's a bit harder to see all those like small video issues if you don't compare side by side original to what this card does. I'm sure it does something to the video that makes it look worse. Hold on. And I have everything black. My bike is very black. Most of the cables are black. And this camera is white. So it sticks out, and it like physically sticks out from the front of my bike. But if someone's looking, like if someone's standing in front of me, look at the bike, it has a slim profile. The actual front of it is blackish. I know there is I think the black body version, it's not a 4K version, like some people use that. It has a different name. It's not FDR X3000, it's something else, maybe X1000, something like that. But yeah, you see it keeps moving around. I have a bunch of extension, like a GoPro mount extensions, which they don't hold very well in place. And This camera, they say it has a decent mic that's built in. At the front, it's a stereo mic. But some people put those like wind protection, dead cat things. But today I didn't have much time to do anything. I just connected my mic from last time. I just have this Rode mic that's a lav mic. I just plug in directly into it. I'm sure it's loud. Let me check. So in my app I have two audio source settings. One is loud and one is the quieter. So I use the quieter one, but they say usually that this mic jack is very loud. I remember, if people know Camera Conspiracies channel, he did a lot of tests with it, and he tried different things. There's like some things that can make, I forgot what it's called, they can make a lot of mic signal physically less loud. I think he tried that as well, but it all didn't sound that good. Basically this mic jack has very loud preamps, and I can see the levels are it's pretty loud. The way I talk, I'm probably more of a quiet guy. So maybe it's not gonna pick. I don't know if it's gonna pick. I'm listening to my final stream in my right ear. Doesn't sound that bad, so I think it's okay. So I'm monitoring left ear monitors LifeStreamer app. It has maybe 1 second delay or so, and my right ear is monitoring final YouTube stream. I try to lower the volume so it doesn't distract me too much. I just want to have an idea if there are issues, if there are any kind of issues. I want to know with the stream. Usually audio will tell. It's a lot, I mean, to be honest, a lot of monitoring I have to do, and I'm doing just like technical stream. All I talk about is how I set up everything. I can't imagine people when they have to read chat and also talk about something meaningful, not this like setup, IRL setup. But I guess I want to, how can I say, I feel like the more I talk about it, it starts to make more sense. Maybe I can simplify some things and like untie some mental knots in my brain, and I can think about it differently. I think when people who don't know much about streaming, they talk to me like, what exactly do you do? And I said, well, I built some apps. One app essentially adjusts dynamic bitrate, adjusts bitrate up and down depending on the internet availability, and the second app can use two, 3 SIM cards to make more internet. That's pretty much my apps. But actually there's a lot of other nuances, like how exactly do you get sort of anyhow. So Sony doesn't have any kind of level correction or horizon leveling, whatever it's called. But all it does, it just removes the shaking. So naturally it can remove whatever it can physically remove. The optical stabilization is there's just some lens itself moves around sort of inside the camera. Something moves around, maybe sense. There's something that moves around that makes it less shaking. And then software can do it as well. So there are like frames. So what software does it like just aligns frames a little bit, makes it so there's less difference between frames, and then it just crops the edges, right? There's lots of people today. So some of the newer cameras, I guess they have slightly bigger sensors maybe. They can crop in a bit more, so they can also, when they align frames, they can like fix horizon. Stuff like that. But I used to have this mount on actual handlebars. It's hard to explain, but I could mount this camera on handlebars. And it had enough space at the back. But now I mostly mount my cameras like I don't know what they call it, on the fork, like at the front of the bike, on the handlebars. So that space, that thing, it has sort of this metal pipe behind the camera. So it's good for flat cameras that have ports at the sides. But the Sony X3000, it has ports at the back. And it means, you know, the issue is there's a pipe behind the mount. There's not enough space for the cables. So I had to put a bunch of like this GoPro mount pieces together and make it stick out. That means, I don't know, when bike vibrates, they move around. So, technically, but actually there's probably no need. I probably over-prepared this fly hit my eye. Again, what I'm testing today, let's talk through it. I have Sony X3000, sends probably 1080p 60 signal through HDMI. It's going into HDMI to USB capture card. So it comes out as USB video audio, also known as UVC UAC. Then that goes into my phone. LifeStreamer app is the custom app. I'm thinking to publish it on Google Play, but for now it's just on GitHub. You can download .apk file, install it and use it. So this app I built in particular because on Android there was some sort of apps for IRL streaming, but they can use only phone camera itself. So what I did, LifeStreamer app, I made it specifically to allow using action cameras different ways. So action cameras, they can usually send either this HDMI that you can consume through USB, or some of the newer cameras, they send RTMP wirelessly. So both of those ways my app supports, whichever you prefer, depending on the camera that you have. You can try it out. So Sony X3000, when it was released, it could also stream RTMP, but at the time there was no Twitch, or anyhow there was only one website that it supported. I think it was called Ustream. Then another company bought it called live.com, I think. And long story short, that website, it was used to website kind of like a Twitch, where people could just stream random streams to it. But I guess it wasn't very bringing any money. So they sort of, they didn't shut it down, but they changed it. They don't allow just streaming random streams anymore. So Sony X3000 could only stream to that website, and it was like, it cannot stream to other websites. So Sony X3000 basically cannot stream. You cannot really use RTMP from it. But HDMI still works. So people still use HDMI. There is a bit of tension the way I mount it. Okay, so I can see in the preview the sky has this crazy color. Usually this camera, it has like two profiles, flat and vivid. Flat is very gray, and vivid just has this like crazy saturated color. So it's a bit of a challenge to color grade it. But I'm sure people have found ways to do it. But that means I have to color grade it in OBS, and since I'm just switching between many different cameras, it doesn't make sense for me to do it. And I can see it's probably clipping, like it doesn't have as good of a dynamic range. It's still good for an action camera. I'm sure if you make like a flat, if you choose that flat profile, you can probably color grade it to some degree. I was thinking to use different mics, so you don't really have to plug in directly into camera if this audio is too loud or like if it's unusable. So with my app, if you want to swap audio for another audio, you can just connect USB hub and use hold on. And on my phones, Samsung S20 FE, whatever, if I use USB hub and connect like multiple USB mics, it's always using just the last mic connected. But I have another phone, S20 FE, and on that phone it doesn't do it, so it's not consistent. That's why I've added the ability to at least use Bluetooth microphone in the worst case if there's some issues with audio, because I've noticed image usually works, but some of the capture cards, they have some issues with audio. But Bluetooth mics usually don't sound that good. They don't sound very cinematic. They are okay for like phone calls. Is there such a thing as cinematic audio? Maybe. So again, I have this camera, video goes to my phone and I restream it, I re-encode it. Not re-encode it, I have the source coming in. I guess like capture card converts it, so this signal gets worse, you know, when it's going through different what do you call it? Different steps. Like it gets worse and worse probably. So if there's a way to have it go through less, and to have it through less steps, have less processing, that's preferred. Oh, is it facing? Okay. So anyhow, this is a test of Sony X3000. I can unplug the mic so you can hear to the original mics, built-in mics. 1 second. But there's a bit of wind, I imagine it's not gonna sound very well. So this is the built-in mic. That was a built-in mic. So I go home and check. Maybe let me switch to at least. I'll stop the stream I'm sending and switch to maybe 720. Okay, does it work? It shows me that it's working. Okay. So this is, it was HEVC, also known as H.265, Full HD, 6000 megabits per second target top, you know, top bitrate, maximum bitrate it could go. So I switched it, I kept the bitrate at the same setting, and I switched it to H.264, which is a bit easier to encode, and I also changed resolution to 720p. I just want to see if it makes a difference. As I said, I've noticed with USB source, my app, it seems to skip frames. I don't know where the problem is. Maybe it's too much work for the phone to do or something. I do have this like FPS you can look at, FPS counter. I'm not sure if this is, I think it kind of like small differences might be hard to pick up. Small differences might be hard to pick up with that FPS counter. It's not like it's precise, but it's hard to explain. It can show if it's like you're really dropping a lot of frames. You can, if it's like your target is 30 but you're sending 20, you know you have to dial down your settings. But if your target is 30 and it varies, it shows sometimes 29, sometimes 31, like you don't really know if it's actually skipping frames or not. Maybe, well, maybe I could have like a count dropped frames somehow, but I don't want to overthink it. Like OBS, it actually shows you if you dropped in frames. It like shows you how many frames you dropped. So that's nice. So I don't know if I'm dropping frames, but just in case, I turn down my settings. When I'm done with this stream, I'm gonna go home and check it, and I'll see. I'll just see, and sometimes I just have that feeling that I'm dropping frames. Of course, I could just open the video and like step through frame by frame. I can do that as well. I don't want to get too obsessed with it at the same time. It's nice, you know, all the small things, it's good to fix. But if this thing works in general, like if most things work, if the signal is good, you know, if it's watchable, some people are not that sensitive maybe to the dropped frames. There's of course like a limit to how far you can push this. If it's not like dropping huge amounts of frames, maybe that's okay. So even in the state it is right now, I think it's okay. But I just know, for example, with DJI, You know, I can send both RTMP and USB signal. I've seen, it looks to me as RTMP is a lot smoother, like it's more consistent. And the audio, the way, how can I explain this? Like when I use USB audio, Android can do some weird things to it, and then capture card can do weird things to it, and so on. But with RTMP, there's less intermediaries, there's less, it just goes directly to my phone, and I don't know, it feels like it's cleaner, like nothing is messing with it. So both video and audio, I don't know, sometimes it works better over RTMP. So I'm thinking another thing I could test today, besides this, I want to test GoPro RTMP. So if I'm done with testing Sony, I can test GoPro RTMP, and then I finish for maybe like 15 minutes or so. I'm quickly switching to camcorder. Also, I'm gonna stop and start the stream because I want to switch to full HD again. Okay, I'll be back. So yeah, another feature of my app that I like is I can switch between different sources. So I have this like hot swapping feature, which is pretty nice feature, I think. The thing is, switching between different sources can have issues. Like it's a bit easier not to switch during the stream, meaning it's cleaner if you just configure all your inputs and like start the stream and then stop and then reconfigure and restart. That works well, but if you switch in midstream, sometimes some things can glitch out, but it's fun though. Where's my GoPro? Just give me a moment, I'll find my GoPro. Okay, so that's the GoPro. I'm probably gonna remove this. Actually, maybe I'll keep it the wind protection thing. So I wanna do RTMP. Probably in terms of mic, I can still physically connect my mic into media mode. So I'll do that. I'll do that now. And then GoPro has this things built in right now at the bottom. Then I need to start my app called Media Server. I'm gonna create a hotspot. Okay, so that is WLAN0. And what I need to do is open up GoPro. Well, there's a couple of ways. I have this other app, I can try it. Where is it? GoPro Hero. I had some issues with it last time, but let's try it. GoPro, where is it? Here, stream for Hero. Configure. Okay, I just need to copy paste the URL for my hotspot. Okay, save. Let's see, 1080p lens linear bitrate 1000. What? Let's do maybe 5. This is starting bitrate. Let's start at 5. Minimum bitrate maybe 3. Maximum 5. Should be okay. Save that. Connecting. Start. Connected, ready. Ticket stop. So what I'm trying to do is use this unofficial remote control for GoPro. Maybe I'll try to power it down. I'm not sure, maybe I need to restart it. I'll restart the GoPro. Let's try again. I have this like different icons I have to press, so first I need to connect to it. So I connected, then I press play button, connect. Let's see. It should go into this. Usually you should show on the GoPro screen that it's like ready. Right, to be honest. Okay, new plan. I'm gonna use the official app because this doesn't work. Yeah, glitched out. Okay, official app. GoPro. wants me to log in for some reason. No. Well, it takes forever, you see. That's the problem. A bit fishy. Anyhow, half an hour later maybe I'll log in into this app. That's why I resist. I don't know what's going on. It wants me to log in, but I'm logging in, but it doesn't let me to log in. Okay. Actually, let me dial down my bitrate temporarily, because my app, when it's in the background, it has issues, so I have to. Okay, I've lowered the bitrate to 2.5 megabits. It shouldn't stutter anymore. Okay, we can do this. Connecting over Bluetooth. No, maybe I need to restart. I'm trying to restart the GoPro. Okay, anyhow, I'm getting there. I finally get into the screen where I can pick config. You see, it takes forever. It's all very glitchy, I don't know, it takes forever, but I'm gonna restart everything. I'm pretty sure I can make it work. Now the GoPro itself cannot turn off. I have to remove it physically from the mount and like remove the battery, because otherwise it won't turn on. This is ridiculous. Okay, and then I have to physically remove the battery, unmount it, and only then I could restart it. Now that's it. Okay, GoPro, how about now? I restarted GoPro. Now I think it will work, fingers crossed, because I want to do this last test and go home. Okay, it connected to my hotspot. I can copy paste the URL. 1080p, that's it. Go live. Okay. Okay. Here we go. 10 hours later. Got the GoPro stream. I'm That's the mic. I've connected the mic. Hello? 1 2 1 2. Okay. So again, it's H.264 full HD 30. I'm gonna raise the bitrate to 6. Done. So this is a GoPro sending RTMP to my phone, to the media server app. I've physically connected my lav mic to the GoPro. Let's ride around a bit and then I go home. Let me just check that I didn't lose anything. Okay, looks about right. I think I'm going the wrong way, so I'm just gonna go along the river. If you can call it a river. Hamburg, Süd. So it's cool to have like one mic that you can just plug into different cameras. So this is RTMP. So with RTMP I cannot really choose different audio sources because Android, maybe I can actually. Let me think. Probably not, because audio source thing is for audio that's like a microphone that's connected to the Android, and then I don't know, maybe I'll have to check. I'll have to check that. Well, this is a lot less cables, RTMP. With RTMP, so that's nice. I can have a wireless mic. I have it with me. I found that cable, the missing cable. So a few things, basically from my perspective, I have two main inputs into my app. One is RTMP, so you run a server on your phone, you stream RTMP to it wirelessly. And my app, it has sort of a RTMP player that can watch stream from that server. And restream it with basically what's important is this adaptive bitrate or dynamic bitrate. It's very important. I think it could be one of the most important things actually. So dynamic bitrate is important, and bonding, just creating more internet, is cool as well. So because with IRL streaming you know, reception, cell signal very place. Sometimes you don't have enough internet, so fixed bitrate is not the best idea. So if you can adjust your bitrate dynamically on the fly based on what's available, that's great. So LifeStreamer is the reason I created LifeStreamer in particular is to have those like two main inputs, RTMP and USB was secondary. I was more excited about wireless. So you can connect things in those two main ways. There's the input into my app, and then all inputs, they go through the same pipeline, through the same sequence of things, so they all can get, like, you can toggle it on and off, but I expect people to have it on. Why would you toggle it on? Well, you can if you want. And it's really cool. I just have a phone. Android phones, I don't know, I was so obsessively thinking about all these different ways, and I'm like, Android phones are widely accessible. Like originally Belabox, I think, was, I mean, there were other competitors like LiveView Solo had this as well, like, but it's a proprietary. So I think Belabox, what it did is it made kind of a version of LiveView Solo with the parts that you could like get yourself for cheap and everything was open source. You could, like, it's not proprietary, it's cheap. So I think Belabox is great because it's a lot cheaper than LiveView Solo, and the quality is really good, and there's all kinds of good things about it. But main things Belabox is doing, I think originally Belabox had cameras connected in a wired way. So it was, so LiveView Solo was taking kind of like that HDMI to USB way. So I think LiveView Solo, I think you can probably plug in HDMI into it, right? I don't know much about, like, I didn't actually touch LiveView Solo in my life, so I don't know. I just saw it some time ago, and then so Belabox was kind of like probably an improvement on LiveView Solo, and then there was some Android apps like IRL Pro copied some of the ideas, like bonding, ability to use multiple connections, and dynamic bitrate. Moblin did the same, so Moblin did a lot of other things, but then Moblin started going, so the problem with Android app IRL Pro is that it doesn't have any like video inputs. So the best I could come up with is it has a decent overlay, so you can it's a long story, but yeah, you can get you can use the overlay, web overlay as an input, and there's a way to convert RTMP to HLS that can be played audio was a big problem. So anyhow, that was why I had to go on this journey and find a way to push through RTMP and USB into Android app that can have SRT with dynamic adaptive bitrate. So this is what LifeStreamer is. It's that kind of app that has USB and RTMP as input, and then it goes through in video encoding. Actually, HEVC, I'm not sure that HEVC is such a great idea. At least on my phone, like, it needs more resources, so I cannot push as high of a bitrate consistently. And when it glitches, HEVC, if it glitches out, it has this like gray mess. Some image can become this like gray mess, light gray. With H.264 I noticed it's a different kind of glitch, but it doesn't go into this gray color. So I think I prefer glitching of H.264 because it's more like just a very pixelated version of the image. Just a but with HEVC everything just becomes this gray mess. So that's why I'm testing out the H.264 instead of HEVC. Surprisingly, for a long time I was like HEVC, but now I'm like, I can see with my phone I can push. For example, I'm pushing 6 megabits right now. I can probably raise it to like 7, maybe higher, and it will probably work without problem. But with HEVC, I think it starts having issues quickly on this phone. But to be fair, it's not very powerful phone. So everything seems to work. I'll have to go home and check, but everything worked as expected, I think. I think I'll start shutting things down. I'll finish here. Okay, GoPro. Can I finish this GoPro? Can I power it off? It's very strange. It's really hard to power off this GoPro. It just keeps running. Okay, I'm gonna unplug my mic. In theory, I can even plug this mic. Let me try that. Into USB. Will it be better? I just have this this expects 4 connections plug. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. 1 2 1 2. One two 1 2. Oh yeah, just hold on. have to change my media output to Bluetooth if it lets me. Yeah, here we go. I can monitor myself. So this is the same mic connected over USB-C. So what happens if I disconnect it? 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. It's just the what's confusing, it changes the audio output to USB. That's why I cannot take it off. Yeah, it does sound better. Maybe I'll ride a little bit and finish there. Some of the final words. Again, today I was testing Sony X3000 HDMI output into capture card. Okay. And then it took some time to switch, but I switched to GoPro RTMP source. It was, I think, Full HD 30. Yes. And I think it worked okay. With both of them I used the same mic, and now I shut down RTMP. I just switched to the phone camera. So it's still sending SRT H.264. So I started with SRT HEVC or H.265, Sony, Full HD. Then at some point I switched to H.264 720p with Sony, just because I want to... What do I want? Hold on. I'll just unmount the GoPro. So what I want to check, if that helps with like smoothness of video. But I know with RTMP source my app usually works fine. It doesn't have any issues. In SRT HEVC 6 megabits per second. So the bitrate, I keep it always at 6, unless app is going into background mode, then I prefer to set it to 2.5, otherwise it starts having issues. And then what else? So that unofficial remote control for GoPro, I couldn't make it work. I had to switch to official app. I had to restart everything and take out the battery from GoPro because it didn't want to shut down. It was a bit ridiculous. And then I also have this new audio source button. I can quickly switch back and forth. So even now, what mode am I in right now? I'm in the camcorder mode, so I can switch it to voice communication like this. So you see it's not as loud, but with this mic, I think camcorder, I switched it back to camcorder. It's fine. In my home OBS, I used to have it a bit like maybe audio at maybe like 90% audio gain. By the way, where did I put the GoPro? I think I'm just a bit of a lunatic right now. Let me double check that I didn't lose the GoPro. Sometimes I do things automatically. Yeah, it's fine. So far all my streams are this test. I don't really have a good content. But I always think like it took me many years. I'm still finding the setup that can work. So again, the latest setup seems to work okay. I have a few different options. I have this super cheap capture card that works with all the cameras. I'm pretty happy with it. Where am I? I have to go somewhere, have some lunch. So currently it's just my phone camera, and I connected the lav mic into this, 3.5 to USB-C adapter. I think I'm going the wrong way. Okay, let's finish here and I'm gonna go home. I think solid stream. Catch you